I cannot believe they unbanned this card. This card is sweet. It is so much fun. I am pumped. Let's go play with it. Alright, TonyScapone here, and guess what? Oh my god, they unbanned Mind's Desire. This is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Super fun card. It's never actually been in Legacy or any format for that matter as a 4 of. I think like Extended or something it was there. But crazy, crazy powerful card. I played it in Vintage Cube. Obviously it's restricted in actual Vintage, but not exactly played there. It's a very powerful effect. It just came out, so it's hard to tell whether it's going to be one of three things, right? It's either just going to be a bit too clunky, the double blue, or it's going to be very good, but not really break the format, right? It'll have its roles, its spots to be played. It'll improve some decks that otherwise would just be slotting it in. But the effect is certainly powerful enough that it is possible that it could break the format. It's definitely possible, right? The power level is extremely high. I feel like for the longest time, Storm players have just been saying, why don't we just unban Mind's Desire? It wouldn't even be that good. I wouldn't even play it. It's not even that powerful. It's really clunky. We've just been singing that song forever, right? And not one of us would ever say, but we've always had in the back of our mind a little part of our brain that just knew and knows that it could potentially break the format, right? It's that part of our brain that is sitting there just kind of going, and here it is. Here it is. So, we're going to see how it plays out. I do think naturally the Epic Gamble is an excellent shell to slot it in. So I think one of the best ways to test the card is 1, play it in high numbers, and 2, play it in a shell that looks very similar to what you're already doing. It allows you to still maintain the same feeling of your deck, which tends to highlight what it is this card is doing and not doing, or doing and reducing, getting rid of what your deck normally does, whatever. I don't know how to say it, but you know what I'm saying. So that's what we're going to do here today. For me, there's 3 different ways this card could potentially wind up in this deck, right? You could either play just 1 in the sideboard, or you can play 3 in the main, 1 in the sideboard, or if the card is that powerful, to the point where you want that power level as accessible and often as possible in your main deck, you might just want 4 in the main deck. It depends how effective it is in the main deck, how clunky higher numbers of it becomes, and how useful is it even in the sideboard. Because at this point we do have a ton of action options, right? We have Looting, we have Gamble, we have Relay, we have Empty, we have Reforge the Soul, we have Echo of Aeons, we have Peer into the Abyss. So I could sit here and talk for about an hour, roughly, as to the circumstances in which you want Gamble as opposed to Echo, in which you want Relay as opposed to Peer, you want Echo as opposed to, and on and on and on and on, right? There are spots, plenty of which, that Mind's Desire would be preferable as a Burning Wish target. How often those would come up, it's hard to tell until it's one of those things you just got to test it a bunch. But just to like put on paper a few spots, right? You can't draw cards, right? There's a Narset in play and you can't draw cards, but you have a high storm count and you have to win this turn. So you can't relay or empty. You can't draw cards. You can't draw cards. You can't draw cards. We don't have lethal. Can't draw cards. We don't have lethal. You could potentially relay into Gambit, the poor man's Mind's Desire. but that's a scenario. You don't have triple colored sources, or part of that colored source is a volcanic, which isn't going to get you black anyways, so you can't make it to Pier, or you just don't have 7 mana, you have 8. If those things are true and you don't want to draw your opponent 7 cards, but have high enough storm where it is feasible that you would win the game with Mind's Desire. We have low enough life total that Lightning Bolt is going to kill us, so we can't Pier. And I'm sure there's more. Now, I just rattled off a lot of scenarios, which may make it seem as though it is abundantly useful in this spot. I don't think that is necessarily true. Each one of those circumstances are rare. Of course, the higher the frequency of multiple rare circumstances, the overall higher number, right? But I don't think that translates directly. Again, something I'd really have to test, and that's what we're going to do here. The main deck has changed a bit, obviously, to make room for Mind's Desire. So overall, we have gone up 1 imprintable as a result of what we have trimmed on. So, as such, I don't want to say comfortable, but have chosen to, at least, reduce a Shatterskull Smashing down to 1. I've always felt not happy when I've done this in the past, but it could be appropriate and optimal here, so we're at least going to try it. To add a volcanic island so that I do have more natural blue sources, at least going up 1. 3 is certainly a larger number than 2, especially when you're considering things like relay, things like drawing 7, things like drawing 7 multiple times, drawing cards off the ring, etc., so forth, right? So I've done that, and I have trimmed ring number 2, Bergie number 4, and Monolith number 4. Am I sure about those numbers? No, I'm not. Was it easy to cut something when I looked at this list? No. Nope. I definitely just stared at it for like 5 minutes. Is it possible that it is just fighting for the same spot as the ring and we shouldn't be playing a ring? Sure. I do like having access to this effect. You have to understand, in the same way that Delver decks can very effectively play one-ofs in their sideboard and consistently find them because of their selection, we can deterministically find singleton cards. In fact, whether they're in our main deck or our sideboard, because when we win, we draw our deck. And you might be saying, well, if we draw our deck, didn't we win anyway, so we don't necessarily need a card like that? Well, there are certain scenarios that come up in which we do need, right? So if Emissary is on Sorcery, well, it's very nice to have access to the Singleton Wish that can get our Singleton Echoing Truth and cast our instant and unlock. So when we see Emissary, we laugh, because it literally doesn't matter unless we manage to go off in a way that doesn't draw our deck, which, honestly, most of the time, that is not the case. Most of the time, we go 300%. We don't go 80%, we go 1,000%. We go over the top. So I do want to have access to this effect, and it is just a busted card, but it is competing with the same type of slot, right? This is a top-end action piece, It's not modal like Bergie, where it can be a top-end action piece, but can also be a mana engine. It's always, when I describe this card, it always just, like, there's so much in it. Engine. They're both engines. It's like, okay, this card produces mana, right? This card draws cards, right? This one produces mana in such a way that you could describe it as a mana engine, as well as being a card that could draw a lot of cards such that you could also describe it as an engine. Wild. The modality, the power level, insane. And yet here I am trimming one, which just, I mean, it hurts, man, but it's the type of slot still, right? Where for Bergie, 3, or even if you end up running 4 Mind's Desire, 2 Rings, 3 Echoes, 4 Burning Wish, 1 Wish, 3 Relay, that collection of action is clunky AF, right? You have to trim something, somewhere. Monolith, very good with Desire, but we're trimming. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure exactly how this is all going to play out, but these cuts are reasonable. We still have a deck that is very similar to what it already was, so again, it's going to function very similar to how it always has, and we'll just be able to highlight how this card is and is not affecting the deck. So and we're going to have to play some matches. We might play through this league and not get enough information out of it. Entirely possible, because the rest of the deck is just so powerful. We may very well just wind up in so many scenarios where it's like, yeah, sure, we get to Desire for 14, but we could have just killed them, or we could have just, gone with a Horn line that was going to win anyways. There is kind of a random nature to this card, but I don't know. We will see. We're going to play the league, and we'll see how my language changes after having played with the card. I played it, like I said, in Vintage Cube. It is, generally speaking, very clunky in Vintage Cube, because usually the decks are pretty clunky. This card certainly requires a constructed... you need to be precise with the rest of your deck building. And I think what the Epic Gamble is trying to do lines up very, very well with Mind's Desire. 4 of the mana for this card is colorless. We are certainly capable of coming up with double blue. Probably the most reasonable and I would say likely to be most frequent way of resolving this card, and not just resolving it, but resolving it in an effective manner, meaning with a high storm count, is through Echo Van's shenanigans. And I don't think there's a deck out there that is abusing this card as effectively as the Epic Gamble. So naturally, here we are, right? So let's stop talking about it and just go jam it, huh? We'll see you in the first round. Okay, so for some reason, my recording program crashed, and unknowingly, it was closed, and only part of it was recorded, so I'm just going to go through the replay together. I know it's not ideal, I do apologize, but that's what we're going to have to do. So, obviously, round 1 here against Judge Fig 781. So we open up a reasonable hand here, and opponent starts with Noble Hierarch, and we draw into a Burning Wish, which actually makes this better. We can just Echo instead of going for a, I wouldn't say anemic, but not ideal relay. And of course we do. And we spin into a nice fat relay. We go right ahead and relay. And we hit. Not the greatest, honestly, but we can probably work with it. They only play another Noble Hierarch, so we gave him a pretty lackluster hand with that Echo. Now, this actually took me a little bit to figure out what the best thing to do, or would be to do here. We only have access really to 4 mana, and the decision to whether we wanted to grid to stop potential swords, or just play Burgie, and then get the 1 mana from the Chrome Mox, and then if they swords it, we can re-Burgie. And I figured that was better, because it was the same amount of wasted mana as if we went for grid, except with the potential upside of them just not having swords. And they don't wind up having swords. So, mana-wise, we have upwards of 5 if we get Burning Wish is a ritual, if you have Burgie in play, by way of Void Snare. So, we go ahead and we get Void Snare, so that we can get to that 5 mana, and then we play Horn. I deem this to be the most powerful play given the circumstances, because it gives us the highest chance of going off now rather than dying to some sort of natural order or Collector Roof, Dahlia, whatever they're trying to do over here that's really going to screw with us. Even if they go for a Bowmasters, it's not the end of the world, because when you Horn and wheel, you're going to wheel into enough to kill that Bowmaster and then wheel again, or just kill them and ignore the Bowmaster entirely. So we go right ahead, and as discussed, we'll get Void Snare, which only costs 1 mana, then Void Snare is free, and then you get 2 mana off Opal, netting 1, bringing us to the 5 necessary to be able to Horn. Getting 6 fresh looks, 1 mana already in the pool because of Burgie, and blue available for Echo. I flip these 2, because I don't want to play into Endurance if I don't have to. If I run into enough mana, I can go Grid first. So I go ahead and I play the Rite of Flame, then I play the Grid. Right, because what we can do is we can Chrome Mox, imprint the Echo, and then we'll have just enough mana to Burning Wish for Gamble, and guaranteed to hit the Echo, of course, because we'll be Hellbent, and we'll have the blue source from having imprinted the Echo. Now, I'm a dummy, and after kind of walking through the line and winding up in this, circuitous line of thinking, when I come back to actually taking action, once Grid resolves, I remember that I'm no longer worried about Endurance, and forget about the fact that Chrome Mox imprinting Echo is my blue source. Luckily, however, the cards that we hit off of Echo just give us enough mana to be able to Burning Wish for Reforge the Soul. So we don't get fully punished there, and worst case, you're going to hit something that gives you at least 1 mana to be able to relay. I think regardless, we would have been fine, unless we whiffed like real hard, which is possible. It was a mistake. I should not have done that. But didn't get punished. Go ahead, get Reforge, draw 7, take our licks from the Bowmasters, no big deal. And then, of course, any number of things you can do here. We have a horn, we can start getting additional cards and probably just flipping into a win without even needing a Burgie or killing Bowmasters or having to wheel again. And that's what we start doing, just getting rid of cards. Mind's Desire would be fun. We could have cast it, but I figured we'd walk into one at the very least, and we did. The Ring as well can just say F you to Bowmasters, which we play it for the funsies. And then just the LEDs, the Wish, and Grape Shot for exactly 20 is always a special kind of feeling. And so we get them. So that's game 1. Don't look at my terrible constructed rating from just brewing up a storm. That's like all I've been doing for what seems like forever at this point. Okay, so here we are, game 2. Now, obviously you saw game 3, so you know we don't get there this match. It is a bit tragic. Of course, starting off with Deafening Silence, that's a recipe for success for them. But yeah, so we play our red land, we play Petal, hopefully we don't get wastelanded. We can like slow motion to find what we need to remove Deafening Silence, but usually in the spot, by the time you get to that, if you don't already have it in hand, they're probably going to play another problematic permanent, which will not only make it more difficult to remove the first one, but you also have to, it'll make it more difficult to find the second thing that you need to remove the second one. And then of course it's just this cascade effect where if you're lucky enough to get to the point where you find the second bounce spell or whatever, well, they probably have a third one by then. And that's just kind of a description of how it can go wrong. We certainly have varied spots where we can just get out of block pieces, oftentimes too. But, I mean, listen. Deafening Silence, Thoughtseize, Mom on board, ready to protect a creature problem. Just a lot. Too much, very quickly, on the play. However, we had a spot here, right here, where we had a horn. We had ample mana. All we had to do was find a bounce spell and a way to go off. With Burgie and Horn, you're going to find a way to go off, right? But we did need to find the bounce spell. So we had 6 looks out of 3 of. I'd say that's pretty darn good chances, but we did miss, so we just have to spin it now and hope that they don't draw all that many lock pieces and that we draw bounce spells, or at least that we can find them with the Horn. In fact, this spot is really not that terrible. But a creature hate piece is a beating because they do have Mom. So I guess with the active Mom, it is actually a pretty bad spot. We could have responded by activating Horn a bunch to find Echoing Truth, but the problem is we didn't have double blue up, so we can only do it once. And they could have just replayed the Deafening Silence. Can't wait till end of turn because Collector Roof is shutting off Horn, so at this point, our only chance is I gambled for the blue source and then draw into multiple Echoing Truths, but then they just have multiple removal spells for the Burgies. Those bounce spell scenarios also, to be successful, require that we maintain our Burgie on board, and we are not able to. So I'd say more than treading water throughout that game, and obviously got taken down. So, to game 3. So game 3, here's the thing. We made 12 mana with a Burning Wish and double LED. So, even if they had Force of Vigor to break up with this LED, which they didn't, we just let one go, it's fine, and we'd still have 9 mana, we'd still be able to pierce. So, the thing about drawing 25 cards on turn 1 is you can't really F it up, and we didn't. So, we get there with a blazing fast, easy peasy, high power, get him with the turn 1 pier, plenty of mana to boot, get wrecked. We get him. So I will see you in round 2. Alright, here we are, round 2 against G Swiftspear. Our hand seems a little bit incomplete, but if we draw non-land mana, we have a pretty good relay incoming. I think I'm going to keep this. This Gamble's also a good draw, Echo's a good draw. It's a swamp. Burning Wish is a good draw. A lot of good draws. Mind's Desire was not one of them. Definitely a spot where it was awkward. Noted. I'm just gonna pass. It's unfortunate. Voidwalker's in. Okay. Soul Land would be pretty good here. Actually, any land. There we go. Okay. So, actually, it's a lot better than pretty good, huh? Nice Voidwalker, though. Alright. No Snuff Out. Rite of Flame. Fence Grid. And Relay for 6. We got Bergie. Another land. Gamble. Opal. Echo. Monolith. So no double blue. Yet, at least. But we can frontside an Echo. We have a Bergie in play. If they're going to play some permanent that's going to additionally screw with us, like Bowmasters, it's going to be face up because they have to play it in the face of the grid. Opposition agent doesn't really matter. We have a gamble, I guess. I mean, at worst, we have a horn into Echo, which is pretty good. Alright, Wasteland is disruptive. Marginally. Alright, there's that face up Oppo agent that we don't really care about. Getting in for 3. Okay. More mana. I guess we don't need to play this Ancient Tomb in case we want to draw a card instead at some point. And we get to go Horn. So we lose our hand anyway, so we might as well activate Horn, or I can try to gamble for something. I don't think that matters. Or no, I can't gamble because of the agent. Alright, so let's get rid of Mind's Desire. Let's pitch the Monolith. Okay. Let's go for the Echo. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to leave this one in place so we don't give it up to the... Actually, yeah, we do have to use one. So I am actually going to play this. And just hold on to this LED so that we don't give it to the Voidwalker. And that's lethal. Goodbye. As well activate a couple times. Why not? Could Mind's Desire if we wanted to, huh? I do want to. That is certainly true. We don't need to. Play these out. These. Play Wish. Another Mox Opal. And kill you. I'ma kill you dead. I'll kill you dead right in the face. Alright. Nice facial killing of deadness. Mono black. Windwalker, Oppo Agent. Sure, there's discard. It may very well be Leyline. Helm. Play these bounce spells. As much as grid was nice, I don't think it's necessary. Okay. Yeah, this hand is pretty good. We'll keep. It's even reasonable against Leyline of the Void. Especially if they have to mulligan for it. If they have discard and Leyline, this certainly gets a bit dicey. Then we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. But then we'd be pretty shy on mana. You're thinking on this hand. Alright, they kept on 6. They do not have a Leyline. We are hoping for no discard, but that's certainly a tall order. Void Mirror. Okay. No colored mana was meant to cast it, counter it. Okay. I mean, it's not, really not that bad for us. Do I want to get it now? It's kind of the same thing, right? I could burn the Rite of Flame right now, get Shattering Spree. Then if they discard us, we don't have access to it. If we wait, well, the benefit of that is then we have an additional mana open going into the next turn. And it's better if they wasteland us. Okay. I'll do it now. They didn't have a Thoughtseize or a Grief. They would have used it. Is it both players? Whenever a player casts a spell, no color. So you can't Grief with this out. It's kind of the cost of doing business, I suppose. So they're either not playing Grief, which I doubt that, or they're just willing to... I don't think this card is good for what it's worth. Oh, it's a him. Oh, they hit the Shattering Spree. So this is the scenario that we were worried about. So bad. Alright, there's Ancient Tomb. Okay. Couldn't hit the Echo, huh? Ugh. Alright, so now we're just hoping to hit one of our bounce spells. We do have the blue source, which is nice. We have 3 bounce spells, so we have a 6% chance every draw. Well, slightly better every time we draw. Okay. So now they get to take the Echo. Into the void it goes. Okay. Draw a card. Bergie's very good. Definitely a good draw. They have 2 cards. 2 cards, 2 mana. They're winning the race to attack. But this Bergie can open up a lot of draws here. Okay. Gamble's no longer good. Really, man? Man. Jeez. The fact that they, like, you know what happened. I don't need to Don't need to reiterate it here. Okie dokie. Alright, just going in with Voidwalker. Come on, baby. Alright, so that's good. Yeah, counter it. Give me the mana. Give me the mana. Counter it. Give me the mana. Counter it. Give me the mana. Do we use the LED? I think we do. They haven't killed Bergie, and Bergie makes a lot of mana. So as sad as I am to see that go, right ahead and relay here. And actually, I'm not going to F6. So we got Petal, Monolith, Ancient Tomb, Echo, Monkey. None of that helps. Did not find a bounce spell. If we can find a bounce spell, then we're not looking too bad. Or a blue source like a Volcanic. Or 2 Volcanics. Oh boy, they're going to come in with lethal and force us to block. And take 6, we go to 1, and then yikes. It would be the smart thing to do here, in my opinion. Yep. Force a block. So at this point, I draw a card off of this. Burning Wish, that would have been really good. But we got nothing. Let's make some mana. Boom. Alright, game 3. We haven't seen... I'm not even sure that they're a Leyline deck. I don't think they are. I think they're just like more mid-range. They don't have Ancient Tombs. They don't have Chromox in. I haven't seen Karn, Helm. Voidwalker is just a all-around good card. So they're playing it. I do not blame them. This hand is excellent. It is possible that they do have Leyline, and they're just not a Helm deck. They're in the sideboard, they come in, that sort of thing. But I'm hopeful that they don't have them at all. It wouldn't shock me, but it would, at this point, surprise me more than if they did have it. Alright, let's just get after it. Just fully get after it. Here we go. Boom. Is it happening? It's happening. Oh my god, it's happening. It's happening. Yo, it's happening. Do we even get to Void Snare? Or should we just save that? We should probably just save it. Or maybe not. This isn't a relay, this is a Mind's Desire. So I think I'm actually gonna... It's funny how Void Snare is actually just good here. Or maybe not. Maybe it isn't. No, we don't have an Opal. So Void Snare would be detrimental here. We have 3, 6, 7, 8. We do have enough to grid into Desire. These are all free. So we go down to no mana if we grid, but we're gonna get mana. We're gonna get mana. And it's all gonna be LED is Black Lotus, like, kind of mana. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's max out. Here we go. This is what we came here for. Oh. And land. Free spells anyways. Free spells anyways. Are you kidding me? Okay, that's good, at least. Holy crap. As far as Mind's Desires go, that was pretty bad. Okay, so let's go Opal. We're going to be spinning this away anyways, so let's bounce it. Opal. Make a bunch of red on this one. Oh yeah, it doesn't even cost mana. Just cast it. May as well cast the monkey. We have blue from that, so let's gamble. Another Echo. Cast that one. Okay, we got them. Play these out. Play all these out. Opal. Whatever, we're just going to Grape Shot, so we don't need to make black. Burning Wish. And Grape Shot. Opponent said, heck of a turn 1. GG's, we got them. Easy game. So you might be thinking like, oh wow, great, Mind's Desire. All those spells were free anyways. Well, not necessarily. Although, pretty much. But, more so the big thing is that you get to play them all on the same turn. So, it's effectively a 6 mana draw card Storm, except even better because you can cast them, right? Like if we hit a Bergie there, an Echo, Burning Wish, those are all free spells. Just the fact that you can cast them right off the bat, pretty powerful. So definitely score 1 for Mind's Desire on that one. But yeah, we're 2-0. See you in the next round. Alright, round 3 against Solnox. We've got a hand that could be extravagant, but we need to turn this Mox Opal on or hit a red source naturally. It's one of those things where you might want to check just how many cards actually hit here. I want to say it's probably like just shy of 60%. So, red source, 1, 2, 3, Chromox counts 1, 2, 3, 7, 11, 15, Monolith counts 18, 21, 21, 40, closer to like under 50% actually. I'm still going to keep it though, because if it's a blue deck, grid's going to be good anyways, and there's a good chance we're going to get 2 draws to make it happen. They're on 6. Elvish Reclaimer, generally speaking, good news for us. But I do want to go get moving sooner rather than later. Let's get the grid out there. So we did hit an artifact that at least guarantees it next turn that we can do our thing. We still want to hit like Lion's Eye Diamond or something. Would be really nice, or just mana, so that, okay. That helps. Now we don't have to commit to this other grid. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. 8 mana post Burning Wish. Oh, this is where I had that giant red. I wish I had that giant red sorcery. Dance with Calamity. Think I would rather cast that than Reforge the Soul. They're gonna bog us. Right. Interesting they let the second one go. I think they didn't want to bog, but now that they see just how big this one is, they're like, okay, alright. So now we have 8, 6, 4, 6, 7, 8. We can make 16 goblins, 8 relay, 7 relay with an untapped monolith. Or we could reforge with 1 mana available, I think. I think I want to do that. Just to try and dodge Collector Roof here. Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 shy of Mind's Desire. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh man, living the dream. Here we go. Dream is coming true. Here comes the Berg. Oh no, that's not true. Oh, we're 1 shy. Look! Oh no. I don't know why I was thinking I could play both lands. God damn it. Oh, that's bad. We could have just played Horn. 2, 3, 4. No, we would have been 1 shy of that. 4, 5. Okay, so mistakes were made and we just pass. So I want the Storm. We should have just passed, period. Not play anything. And then we can play Horn next turn, or we can still play Bergie if we want to. We've committed to Bergie, and we've wasted a Storm. Teague? Really? Okay. I mean, we have a lot of very good draws. That's fine. It's obviously not going to be one of them. Ancient Tomb. Let's pass it over. There's definitely a direct response to Mind's Desire being everywhere. Get attacked for 3. Not going to untap Monolith. I'd have to blow Petal to do so, or pay 2 life. No thank you. That's pretty bad for us. Come on. I guess it puts a blocker up for us. I think I am supposed to play it. And pass. We need Burning Wish. Kind of weird. Block the Orc. And play another one. Trade with the Monkey. They just wasteland themselves. Oh, right. Make my Ancient Tombs not do anything. Okay. Interesting. We're at 18. I mean, we're going to be gambling for Burning Wish. It's just, do we want to... We're going to be grape shotting. We don't have action afterwards, though, is the only thing. Can't play the One Ring. Yeah, I'm going to get the LED out. I'm going to gamble. Burning Wish. Alright, I mean, the best result we could have hoped for. I just don't know exactly how good it is anyways. 3, total of 5. Kill Teague, both their Bowmasters, and then we have to chump. Can also go try and get looting, try to draw into exactly Echo and Wish. That would actually have a high chance of winning, but I don't think we can afford to do that. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't really need to cast this Petal. Can also kill the Reclaimer and 2 Bowmasters. No, I can't. Never mind. 1, 2. Some targets on Teague. Die, 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 die. And pass it over. Gonna have to chump here and hope that we draw some action. Collector Roof, really? Oh, guess they don't have it in the main. Alright, force block and action. Did not hit. Okay. That was rather hateful of the opponent. Let's play some bounce spells. Got a couple of grids and an opal. Let's call it a day. Hopefully we can get some turn 1 action in there. without a trap or force of vigor or ley line. Alright, game 2, let's go. Super awkward. To be fair, I think anything would be awkward in this spot here, aside from a red source. This is terrible. Triple Mind's Desire, perfect. Perfection. Alright, this is about as much as we can ask for. We can put one of these down. Let's hold on to the Echoing Truth. So LED, we want LED, we want Echo, Mana, and Echoing Truth. Or we could take Chromox and Echoing Truth. No. Deep the land. Alright. And they're F6, so here we go. We don't have to worry about trap anyways, because we played around it. No red source at all. That is not good for us. Alright, I will run this out, but this is bad. And it looks like we're gonna get hit by a hate piece. Well, joke's on you. They're just gonna sit around with that wasteland. Okie doke. Holy crap, that was a bad wheel. You can't even blame it on Mind's Desire either. Yep. Oh. Not so sure why I'd go for Teague in that spot. Just not running Collect Roof. Can't imagine Teague is better than Collect Roof here. Cool, I just had it in hand. And a Void Mirror. Could you have any more hate? Yeah, sure. We'll move on. See you in the next round. Alright, here we are, round 4, and I think we have to mull this hand. This doesn't quite do anything. Sometimes you can be patient with grid hands, assuming your opponent's on blue, but we don't even have Chromox, our only permanent mana source. Okay. God, you see LEDs in a blue card. With this deck, I'm used to seeing Echoes. It's not what those are. It's certainly a bit awkward here. Yeah, we're gonna have to mulligan. This is a 5-card hand. We have 1, 2, 4, 5 Horn, and a tapped Monolith. Or we can try to find a hand that echoes. I think I'm gonna go to a hand that echoes. Once again, that blue card with LED is throwing me off. This hand does not echo. I'm gonna go to 3. We can try to find exactly LED echo. You can keep this. Awkwardly enough, I'd probably keep Chromox with Ancient Tomb, but I think I'm just going to go to 2. Alright, so we have Lions of Diamond. We're going to keep that with a colored source, and at least we're live to drawing a number of draws, mostly Gamble and Echo, but there's a lot of draws that make our second draw reasonable, but hopefully we can just draw Gamble or Echo. Alright, so now Burning Wish is included. Bayou Pass. What deck goes Bayou Pass? I mean, there's a number of decks that go Bayou, but it's probably just Reanimator and Step and Tomb. I'm going to play these out. We could get punished, but I think, on average, these are going to be safer in play. No Entomb. I will end up getting punished. Not that I wanted to see Entomb, but now I'm more afraid of, like, Abrupt Decay or something. 4-color Epic Storm? Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're dead. They could Mind's Desire if they want. I don't think it would be correct, but they might be looking to do something sweet here. I think they are. Yeah, they just want to do it. I mean, Adnaz is definitely correct here. But they hit another Mind's Desire. And 4 baubles? 4 exactly Mishra's baubles. This is funny. Desire into Desire. That's where it's at. I think we're about to die. Into another Desire. GG. Into 2 more Desires, is it? Yeah. And all 4 Desires. That's funny. Well, 16 and 17. They might deck themselves. No, they're not going to deck themselves. Alright. Play this stuff instead of grids. They're looting. Hopefully we can Desire them back. Alright, this hand is extremely powerful. Just outrageously strong. It's going to be a Bergie into LED Rite of Flame Echo. Let me show you how it's done, OP. Nice turn, too. Let me show you how we do it on the first turn. Do we spinning? Here we go. So we can Desire here. Ooh, baby. Honestly, I think that's where this card is going to wind up for us. Just in the sideboard. Very good in the sideboard. This is a describes scenario in which we don't have the black for Pier. This is also a spot that if you're playing against the Force of Will deck, they're priced into countering Burning Wish. And again, if you don't have, say you don't have access to double black, as we don't here, and they countered this, it's basically still going to be game if we desire for 10, right? I mean, not 100%, but basically. Okay, so can we get some more Storm here? We don't have our Void Snare, so no, we'll just desire for 9 and hold on to the Burning Wish. Right, ooh, that's a ring. That's a whole bunch of stuff, and keep in mind these are free. Entirely free. Even the ones that are already free. Monolith for free. Monolith for free. God, that's such a good spell to cast when it's free. Jeez Louise. Alright, we'll play the ring. And draw off it just because. Alright, it's free. Almost forgot. And let's get on with the grapes. Let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, didn't even have to make blue there because it's free. Keep forgetting. Keep forgetting. And get them with the grapes. Alright, we clap back. That's how we do. See if we can get them again. I mean, this hand does essentially the same thing. We're probably going to get Thought Seized, which means they probably take Lion's Eye and they may take Gamble, which gives us higher odds to draw into something better. They take LED, I think it's more damaging overall. That's if they Thought Seize. Alright, we are also keeping. Taiga's good for us. Chrome Mox, okay. As long as they're not, like, actually getting in this turn. Okay, I don't really care about a relay. Printing a Dark Ritual. That's more scary. They're gonna echo us. I don't love it. Going for it now, they are. Alright. Into a horrendous hand. Which is so bad. It's definitely one of the more frustrating ways to lose. Your opponent doesn't even really do much. They just wheel you and you happen to draw a bad hand. LED, please. A little help would be nice. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're actually really close to casting Echo. But we're not. We are not casting Echo. Could Echoing Truth their Chrome Mox, but it's unlikely to help. Let's go Ancient Tomb. Petal. Pass, hope we're not dead. I should have imprinted Echoing Truth. That way if they Thought Seize us, we can use Simeon and just have our Echo discarded. Now if they Thought Seize us, they can take a Mana Source. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll have to draw a Mana Source to be able to Echo. Good news is having 4x Mind's Desire in your deck is definitely going to make things a bit clunky. It's funny to sit here and complain about my opponent wheeling us into a bad hand, considering how often we do that to people. Ooh, they're passing. Alright, that's very good news for us. Have your Bauble draw. I don't care about Veil. Another Ancient Tomb is at least +1 mana. Now we can go Imprint, Echoing Truth, make a mana off Spirit Guide, go Ancient Tomb, and just frontside this Echo. We have a red. Oh, yeah. Okay. 2, 3, 4. So we can't Horn into Echo, but we can Burgie. Let's go Monolith. Let's go Petal. Let's go Burgie. Go LED. Make blue. Spin it. Cast Veil. I don't care. Okay. Looks like we got there. Let's go Petal. I might have like an Abrupt Decay. Because I might probably be playing Abrupt Decay instead of Veil of Summer. Do I want to use another card? Yeah, sure. Play Horn. Activate. 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 Petal. They're not going to have graveyard interaction, but I'm just going to frontside this Echo anyways. In fact, it's just better to front it. Anyway you slice it. Go ahead and cast that bitch. Spin it. Activate. 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 Alright, they're off it. And we got them. Alright, we're 3-1. See you in the final round. Alright, here we go. Final round against Raptor 56. We've won the die roll. We have a hand. We've got a hand. We have got a hand. Also on that desire train, they said? Maybe. 3, 4, 5. Alright. Opponent says, card's been insane. The fair blue decks just can't beat it. I said feels clunky so far. They can't beat relay either. I haven't had trouble with fair blue decks in a while. Okay. I mean, I guess we're keeping this. I can go City Spirit Guide, Bergie. The next turn I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are 1 mana shy, and it has to be non-land mana. I'm just gonna go Volk Pass. Then we can go Bergie. We're 3 away, so we won't be able to Desire next turn, but it's certainly possible that we could Echo. We can also just Horn here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Horn. 6 looks at LED, or some combination of making 3 mana. Okay. I'm sold. Let's get horny. It's not an LED. That is an LED. So let's play it and win the game. Let's win the game. Okay, let's go LED, LED, go grid. Let's go Bergie. Let's go LED. Let's see if we can take a peek at their deck. See if they'll let us do it. People do it sometimes. Especially if we just show them all red mana. And be like, oh, they can't kill me with that, so I'll let that go. I wonder what they're gonna do. And then before they even know it, bam, we look at their hand. Got them. Okay, they're on some Jessica's Will variant. Yeah. Okay. So what we could do, if we want to see more of their deck, is go ahead and just frontside Echo. Hope that we can find that Reforge again without winding up in a spot where we're going to deck ourselves. And, yeah. I guess we can activate on this one, whatever. Okay, they're off it. They're like, okay, you're still spinning, I'm dead. Alright, I don't think they're going to be playing Ruby Medallion. They could be. It could just be Ruby Storm. And they're including Mind's Desire, which I don't think is particularly good. Let's, yeah, I mean, I guess we just go with the old, yeah, it really didn't look like they're going to be some Force of Will, like, build, so let's just play the old Bounce-a-Roonies and a Faithless Looting. Gonna be better than Grids. Okay, it's a pretty good relay hand. We'll keep. So they are playing Ruby. I'm not so sure I can allow them to untap with that Ruby Medallion. It's going to be quite costly to remove it. Pretty much all of our Storm, and then there's no guarantee that we're not dead anyways. Yeah, I don't think I can afford to. I think we just got a relay here. It's not like the most spectacular relay, but that's what I got. Okay. I mean, for 5 cards, it was pretty good. Oh, classic. No red source. The old no red source keep. Classic mistake. Yeah, so let's go ahead and imprint Desire. Monolith, Monolith, LED, 3, 4, 5, 8. So we're 1 shy of Pier. We're at 16. So if we echo off a Burning Wish, oh, we can Desire for 6. Is that better than Wheeling? I think so, because they're all free. Yep, so we found yet another spot where it's good in the sideboard. I think I'm sold that it's just a solid sideboard card. A free Rite of Flame, I like that. Monkey, I don't like that. Burning Wish is good. Okay, that Volcanic kind of saved us. Horn. Rite of Flame is 3, 4. Horn. Get Echo. Or we can go Bergie. I think we want to go Horn. So we go Rite of Flame. We go Horn. Play a blue land. Gamble. Spin it. GG. See you later. Let's go Opal. Rite of Flame. Rite of Flame. Bergie. Petal. They're at 16. Burning Wish is free, so it actually adds a mana with Bergie. And that's going to wrap it up. Alright, so I will see you in the final thoughts. I'm going to chat a little bit with this opponent. I will see you there. We got the 4-1. Okay, so we 4-1'd, and I mean, we 4-1'd off the back of the deck, right? The way that the Epic Gamble functions. We weren't really winning through Mind's Desire. It was, generally speaking, pretty clunky where we did see it. The spots that Mind's Desire shined was primarily out of the sideboard. We, even just within 1 league, did find a few spots where upon resolving Burning Wish, Mind's Desire was preferable. So that's cool. That's exciting. I do like that. We're not always prepared to, or we're not always making black mana, right? When we're first spinning, we're usually making in excess of our red mana. Blue is the next, in preparation for our echoes, of course. So naturally, we often post-wheel have blue mana as our most frequent secondary color, which lends us to going for Mind's Desire with a Burning Wish, as long as we don't have lethal or the black mana available, or can't draw cards, whatever it is. There's a number of different ways that we discussed where Mind's Desire would be preferable, and we saw it really coming up there. There was, I think, once where post-wheel we wound up firing off a Mind's Desire, which is pretty nice. Having said that, this deck does not need help with its execution post-wheel. So I don't think Mind's Desire is fixing any problems that the deck was having, and it's really just overall making the deck a bit clunkier in the main. So as much as we can support it, I don't think it's optimal. I think I'd rather have my second ring back. I was sad to cut it in the first place. I don't think it's warranted to cut Monolith. I don't think it's warranted to cut Bergie. The deck has been so highly optimized that unless... I think one of two things would really have to occur to shake the 60 of this deck, right? Either a card that's just does the same thing as a card that already exists, except better, in which case it would just be a direct replacement, right? Or something fundamental. Some sort of fundamental change in the construction of the deck or in what it's trying to do. Maybe a card is so powerful in a different color that we have to splash a color, and then we have to contort our mana base, and then we can't play Monolith, and then we, just as an example of like some sort of road that could possibly be wind up, a road that we may possibly wind up going down, in certain conditions. I don't think Mind's Desire is that. And I think the reason really is because the most frequent time you're going to cast it is post-wheel, and like I said, this deck is just so powerful post-wheel. Like any amount of mana, or even oftentimes just with no mana floating, like this deck is designed to go really fast, go as fast as possible, as frequently as possible off of openers. So even in the lowest of resource scenarios, having a reasonable chance to just win off of an echo. And it just doesn't feel as though Mind's Desire improves those numbers. So as much as it was only one league, sometimes you play a league and you just go, wow, we didn't draw it, or we didn't, the times we drew it, the card that it replaced wouldn't have mattered anyways. I think that happened once, but I think it was a clear display. Like, it was consistently awkward in openers, and we need to be able to convert openers, whether they are our initial openers or openers as a result of echoing with low resources. A 6 mana blue spell. I mean, listen, we have a 6 mana blue spell. It's Echo Fans, right? We do, from time to time, cast the front side of it. However, the strength of Echo is certainly not just in its front side. And one of the strengths of Echo's front side is the fact that it has a backside too, right? But yeah, I mean, I could sit here and blabber about it for a while, but I think the bottom line is it is, at least in the construction of just the Epic Gamble, right? Like, could there be a more blue-based? I suppose, but Mind's Desire does want you to go fast. It does want you to sink rituals into it, and blue is not the color that does that. I don't think this is the shell for main deck Mind's Desire, and I would probably say the same for Ruby Storm as well. If Relay didn't exist, I think Mind's Desire would be a much bigger deal, but I think Relay is just literally a better card. And before Relay, it was more difficult against fair blue decks, right? Fair blue decks had a better chance. It was more of a game. Now, Storm decks tend to crush fair blue decks, and probably the main reason for that is Galvanic Relay. Now, like I said, if Mind's Desire was printed, or not printed, unbanned before Relay, it could have been the card that made it so that blue decks had a harder time with Storm decks, but I think Mind's Desire is ultimately trying to fix a problem that's already been solved, and I think more efficiently. Having said that, it is a different card than Relay, and there are a lot of things that you can do in this game. Card pool is gigantic. I'm not saying that I have personally, these are all my opinions, right? I'm not saying that I have personally, even me, I don't think, or I haven't written the card off as a potential busted main deck Storm card. I just don't think that this is the shell that's gonna bust it open. If you were to put me on the spot and say, and ask me at this point, do you think it will? Do you think there will be a shell that's going to bust this card wide open? I would say no. I think it is a very good card. I think there are going to be all sorts of shells that are going to be able to leverage it and have a reasonable amount of success. I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to climb over anything else, and I don't think that it's going to break anything. It has that potential. I could be wrong, and when I say wrong, I just mean when I tend to think in, probabilistically. It's a tough one to say. Probabilistic thinking, right? When I say I don't think it will bust the format wide open, I'm kind of in my head applying a number to that, some sort of percentage. You know what I mean? I'd say before testing it right now I was probably closer to a 50-50 where I didn't quite know. Certainly leaning more towards I don't think it's going to break anything. Now, where do I think, if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, where should I go next if I really want to try to push this card? I think a cantrip blue with Force of Will, not Lion's Eye Diamond, basically like the PETA shell. I think that shell is probably the best for Mind's Desire, because here's the difference between Mind's Desire and Relay, right? Probably the biggest difference is Relay doesn't love rituals, right? You want some number so that you can get to your Relay, maybe so you can double Relay, and you want a certain density of rituals to convert your Relay turn when you actually cast the spells off of Relay. But Relay primarily wants the hybrid cards, the cards that are both potentially a ritual and a permanent, Monolith, Opal, Petal, Chromox, these sorts of cards, right? However, Mind's Desire does not mind these rituals, because you're using the cards on the same turn, you're not any excess mana, you don't have to let burn off, you can use it, and the mana that you do use through Mind's Desire gets paid out right then and there. So, I think the cantrip heavy, Force of Will, you could maybe even Daze, whatever, where you can set up a little bit, and then Mind's Desire is, because that deck is trying to resolve Peer, right? Pre Mind's Desire, it's trying to resolve Peer, which is a 7 mana, triple black card. I guess the black isn't as big a deal because all of its rituals are black, but 7 mana, not a storm card, just a straight up 7 mana sorcery that they're trying to clear the way with discard. But now you have a card that's one less and has Storm. So all you have to do is get your rituals up to it. You don't necessarily have to resolve it, because they're not going to be able to Force of Will it. So now, with a deck like that, they're going to have to respect your rituals a lot more. I think that shell is probably the best shell for Mind's Desire. So maybe I'll try building that next. But I will say, to get back to the Epic Gamble, I apologize. I can't say 100% because I've only played one league, but I will say that I think the card wildly overperformed as a sideboard option. I am going to be testing Mind's Desire, continued testing as a sideboard option. I very much doubt that it will fail that test. I think it's going to wind up in the sideboard. I don't think it's going anywhere. And coincidentally, this occurred just after I finally made the cut on Empty the Warrens, which, I mean, we went a long time without any changes. So, just to change this back to where I would be going, so I'm going to be cutting the main deck Mind's Desires. I'm going to be going back up on the Ring, back up on the Burgi, back up on the Monolith, Doesn't that feel nice? I want to go back up on the Shatter Skull. We already even... The problem with playing one Shatter Skull Smashing is if you play one as a land, you no longer have access to it. You no longer have access to a card in your deck that can blow something up on board without having to first cast another spell, Burning Wish for a Grape Shot or whatever. It even just happened in the very first league that we went down to 1. And you may think like, oh, sure, but it's not going to happen often. Every time I go down to 1 Shatter Skull Smashing, I regret it. Like, immediately. Every single time I've done it. And I've done it so many times, and every single time it's awful. So I'm not going to do it. All right? Not that that's the only option that we could have cut, but I don't think... And you could say, well, Tony, maybe you cut the wrong cards. Maybe, whatever. I really don't think that's the case. I don't. It's 3 cards. I think any combination of anything that you're going to replace, you're going to have similar results. It's going to be a bit clunky, I think. But yeah, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to keep the Mind's Desire. As of yet, I like the looting. This card will, however, be Dance with Calamity. Am I 100% on that? No, because I haven't tested it yet, but I am pretty sure. And yes, we're going to wind up in a situation where we just have a pile of action options in the sideboard. And I'm going to have to test these things out more often, or more, and I'm going to have to think it through a bit more. But, of course, the first thought is, well, that's way too many, you're using up all the sideboard space. You should just pick the ones that matter, and the small percentage of the time where you don't have access to the other ones shouldn't matter over the points that you're going to get from available sideboard space, right? Reasonable thought, could absolutely just be straight up true, right? However, it is very important for this deck to win on the spot when it is trying, right? We do have some portions of the deck that aren't able to do that, relay, and it is often enough disappointing when we reach that point. So we need the rest of our deck when we go off to be able to win on the spot. And there are certain spots where we can't do that, where we are forced into either emptying or relaying or some sort of Hail Mary play that we don't want to make. And there are a lot of new cards in the format that make that a more frequent occurrence, right? Orcish Bowmasters, Narset, Leovold, all these cards that they keep printing. I mean, a couple of those aren't that new, and it's not going to stop, right? We are getting powerful cards, but fair strategies are also getting powerful. And I think it's important to have access to all sorts of different ways of not just doing things, not just doing stormy things, but ways to kill them now, this turn, not next turn, right now. Because passing the turn over time, especially in this format, is and will continue to be more and more dangerous, detrimental, game losing, right? Of course, we found a fix for if our opponent casts the One Ring, but that's just an example of something that they can just print, and decks can all of a sudden have like, oh shit, that card's a problem. If you're not prepared for this card, you're just going to lose to it. We are now prepared for it. We have to devote a sideboard slot to it. As long as this card continues to be popular, which I think it will be. It's busted. It's absolutely busted. So, do I think Desire deserves a slot? Yes. Do I think it's going to go anywhere? No. Do I think it's going to push out one of the other action slots? Also no. They're all very unique and cover bases that come up often enough. Every single one of them. I mean, most of these are obvious, right? Like Echo is obvious, right? You don't have to go through that. Peer is obvious. You win the game. Just a straight up win for 7. If you played this deck even a little bit, you know just how powerful this card is. But you can't always draw cards. You need other powerful options, right? You don't always have black mana. You don't always have blue mana. You don't always have either of those colors. Sometimes you only have red, in which case you need an option other than killing them next turn or killing them next turn, right? Or, well, I don't have enough to kill them with this. You got shit if you only have red. In this deck, if you think this deck doesn't wind up in scenarios where it only has red mana, but a boatload of it, if you don't think that, you haven't played the deck. You haven't played it enough, or at least. In which case, we need access to Reforge the Soul, right? But what if you only have red mana, red and or colorless, or red and colorless, and you can't draw cards, right? That's where, I always forget the name, Dance with Calamity comes into play. Can we talk about that card? Can we? Shuffle your library, alright, so there's no shenanigans afoot, can't be put cards on top of your library. As many times as you choose, you may exile the top card of your library. If the total mana, so it's almost got like a ad nauseam feel to it, right? If the total mana value of the cards exiled this way is 13 or less, you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana costs. So, you can flip and flip and flip, and you basically pretend your life total is 13, right? If you die, you die. So, once you get to a certain life total that risks going over 13, or not life total, mana value, whatever. Once you risk going over 13, you're in danger of fizzling, right? Here's the thing, right? If you need to win now, this card is excellent. A large portion of the time, you're going to give yourself a very good chance to win on the spot without even having to take the risk. Not to mention the points in which you don't even necessarily need to win on the spot. But let's say you do, right? And let's say you're now in the zone where you have to risk. You still have flips. It's just like ad nauseam, where, my life total's 4, there's still 1 tendrils in the deck, but I have to win right now, so I have to keep going. And it's just a super powerful card. It only costs 1 red, alright? A boatload of colorless, but if you think this deck doesn't often wind up with boatloads of colorless mana that it has no idea what to do with, you haven't played the deck enough. So, and with a Burgie in play, you're always going to have 1 red. So a bunch of colorless mana, Burgie in play, Burning Wish, boom, Dance with Calamity. Got him. So, I don't know. I feel like I've talked too much. This is probably the longest final thoughts section of a YouTube that I've done, but, you know, Mine's Desire got unbanned. So, that's a thing, right? But yeah, so this would be my stock list with Dance with Calamity in place of Faithless Looting. And, yeah, if you missed my last video, the reason we're off of empty is because Orcish Bowmasters is just pretty good against it, right? The biggest reason for it was against Tempo, and Tempo is primarily Grixis right now, and it's primarily to cast on turn 1 in our opener so that we can go under any of the hate pieces they have, so that we can dodge counter magic, that sort of thing. And oftentimes it winds up being a shorter empty, maybe for 6, maybe for 8, maybe for 10 even, say on the draw might not be like the strongest, or you do it for 8 but they counter one of them, or they counter 2 of them. You know, these are scenarios that come up often that we previously often enough just still won, despite small empties, but it's going to happen less often with Orcish Bowmasters, because Bowmasters takes down 3 goblins, right? It's pretty good. So I have, at least for now, decided that we should come off of this card as a plan. The good news, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, our deck is still very powerful against Tempo. The main deck was always built to beat Tempo and is very powerful against it. Empty was just an easy way to turn a good matchup into a slam dunk, especially when Delver was just as popular as it was. Not that it isn't popular now, because it is, but not quite as popular, right? So that is where I am at. It's exciting that we have new stuff happening with this deck. It's gotten even more powerful, which is super sweet. I don't know when they're putting Dance with Calamity into Moto, but I hope it's soon, because that card is super sweet. I think I'm going to build this back. Right now I have Black Saga Storm built, but I think I'm going to revamp my F&M deck back into the Epic Gamble so I can enjoy some of this new stuff. Alright, so that's going to be it for this video. I hope this wasn't too long as far as the final thoughts and the initial deck tech, but yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.